To connect the two talks, Doc Nick mentioned earlier that it all starts in the literature. You mentioned some elements in both literary sources and theatrical sources, quite similar. How could we, like maybe researchers here in theater, think of this parang overall or general relationship of these early literary and
theatrical sources? The similarities, for example, or bakit sila sobrang magkakahawin ng six magna,
Actually, for purposes of the lecture, laking natin yung mga topics in literature, in theater, and so on. Alam pa nga yung comics, ano? Pero yung lahat ng yan actually were related forms. They were being written sometimes by the same people. Right? In other words, there were very common traditions that they were coming from. Yung mga dramas, ang mga istorya ng dramas as well, yun din ang mga istorya ng mga novela at saka ng mga comics. Right? So, in other words, hindi yan hiwa-hiwalay. You have to think of them as coming from the same traditions that mainly were Hispanic in origin. Later na lang pumasok talaga yung American influence. Also, let's remember na all of these forms were subjected to the same conditions of censorship under America. So, yung nationalist tradition, which came from the period of the Revolution and which fired novels, novels in the first decade, as well as the drama symbolic of Rolando Tolentino and other playwrights. These were suppressed. And bakit? Kasi ang gusto ng mga Amerikano ay theater or stories depicting social mores or customs. So naging costumbrista yung buong tradition. Right? And of course, romantic din yung tradition na yun. And basically, actually, escapistic. You read it for entertainment and for escape. At yung tradition na yun, ang namana ng pelikulang Filipino. Right? So, for the longest time, yun yung tradition that flourished. So, kasi saan pa ba kukuha ng tradition ang pelikula kundi dun sa existing traditions na nandun. And as I said, coupled with the fact that sino bang kukunin nilang actors? Kasi siyempre galing sa teatro ng panahon na yan. Sino kukunin nilang writers? Kasi siyempre yung mga nobelista ng panahon na yan. So, nag-converse talaga sila dahil iisa yung kanilang pinanggagalingan. Ang pinagkaiba lang ay nauna yung ibang forms kaysa sa ibang. Ang pelikula yung nahuli. Pero nakaset na yung sa literature at saka yung sa teatro. Mas matatandang forms yun kaysa sa pelikula.
Thank you, Doc. May tanong na ba kayo? Or gusto kong idagdag, sabihin o i-komento? Tahimik naman ang teatro na ito. Yeah, sure. Actually, so may follow-up question pa ako doon. So, if this was the like earlier period, and I know you to have responded to na yung pag sinasabi ng mga nagko-comment halimbawa na ang popular culture natin ay whatever bakya or and I've read your work that respond to how this is actually rooted in a longer tradition. How do you view now yung pagpapatuloy ba nitong ganitong uring mga kwento na minsan ay irrational or illogical or escapist? Since mahabang tradition pala ito, meaning it's been here for practically 100 years or so. No? So, how should we view it from today?
Ako kasi yung pananaw ko dyan sa, if you're aware of it, yung popular culture, palagay ko naman ang development ng literature, hindi naman yun smooth eh. Meron mga distractions dyan eh. May discontinuities dyan eh. So even in the so-called popular culture that brings about repression, sa tingin ko meron dong moments and voices that run counter to the hegemony. For example, yung concept ng pusong, parang ay, katatamanan lang yan. But, you know, pinag-aralan nyo yung mga characters na yan sa folktales natin, makikita mo, dire-diretso yung pagbira nila sa authority. And that for me is a proof that the culture that developed allowed some kind of resistance. Hindi nga lang pinapansin masyado ng maraming kritiko. Dahil ang tingin nila sa development ng literature, kung masyadong uniform, no? But even yung mga pelikula ni, sinasabi ko palagi ni Fernando Poggio na minamatamakan natin, sa tingin ko, banat ito sa kawalang katarungan sa bansa, pagiging indifferent ng gobyerno sa panahon ng baha at lindol. Sino ang tumutulong dyan? Sa mga panday, mga fantasy characters na yan. So in that sense, hindi makikita natin na yung meron diyang dissident movement, even in popular culture. Sabi ko, tingnan natin siya, yung development, as something more complicated, rather than as something na smooth and parang isa lang ang intensyon. Hindi dapat siguro hindi dapat ganun din sa kulturang popular. At saka may masabi ko lang, no, sa mga nobela na pinag-aralan ko, matitindi yung despite the censorship, ang titindi ng mga anti-colonial novels of the first generation. And even in the 1930s, 1950s, sila, Lazo Francisco, Amado Hernandez, pinayagan sila ng government to publish and do a critique of the existing evils in society. So hindi sila, kumbaga, totally obsequious to the regime.
In fact, yung marami sa mga novela, like for example, yung mga consistent yung character nung yung pare, nagkakaanak, so on. Ano yun eh, napakahalaga na expose yun kasi we were coming from a society in the Spanish period that was dominated by the friarocracy, the friars, and religious people. No? So, for the novels to make that an issue, yung ganong klase ng abuse ng mga pare at madre, was really daring. Sa atin siguro parang old hat na yun, pero hindi. Nung panahon na yun, medyo shocking yun. And things like that would have slowly changed the frame of mind of a very conservative society. And of course, yung novels of the first period, a lot of them were very anti-imperialist, very openly anti-imperialist, and very openly anti-landlords. And so, hindi dapat i-dismiss. Also, I want to add, yung halaga ng tradisyon na yun, kasi nangyari sa atin, para bang dahil pinalaki tayo sa modern literature na, that frowns on sentimentality and yung direct statement of messages and so on, we began to look at this whole tradition as negative, as inferior, diba? Yung didacticism naging naging kasiraan. Pero bakit ganon, di ba? Unang-una, yung didacticism na yon and all of the all of these aspects were part and parcel of one whole aesthetic tradition, right? So you have to see it in proper context, no? Para wag nating i-condemn itong mga novelang ito, itong mga pelikulang ito dahil ano ba yan, napaka-didactic naman, right? Ang ending ay palaging may moral lesson and so on and so forth. Bago may condemn yon, unawain mo muna na ito ay matandang tradisyon sa bansa natin, right? At malaki ang ginawa niyan sa paghubog ng sensibilidad at pag-iisip ng Pilipino sa kasalukuyan. Right? That being said, I want to refer to certain directors. Yung mga director kasi natin na mga artists, quote-unquote already, di ba, ang tendency is towards realism, no? But there's a type of realism that actually turns off the ordinary viewer. For example, di ba indie films are really very, very worthwhile in terms of what they want to say. But the style that is used is not going to be appreciated by probably 80% of the Filipino audience. Right? Bakit ang gusto pa rin nila mga rom-com and so on? Kasi yun yung nasa tradisyon na kinalakhan nilang lahat. Right? So in other words, hindi namatay yung tradisyon na yun. Buong buo yun. Yun yung tradisyon ng mga telenovela. Di ba nakita ninyo yung mga mistaken identity, yung pala in the end magkapatid sila? Di ba? Ano yan eh, telenovela yan. Same, exactly the same structures. Hindi nagbabago. Hindi nagbabago. So anong dapat gawin? I think the lesson should be learned from somebody like Lino Broca. Sa mga direktor natin na totoong, artist na as we consider them, Lino Broca is the one that was raised on tradition and I think has a very deep respect for it. So that when he comes up with films like Tahana Empoy, which is very, very melodrama, somehow, nababago niya yung pelikula kasi nagmumula siya doon, hindi niya nilalabanan yung tradisyon, sinasakyan niya. So, kung ikaw yung ordinary moviegoer na mahilig sa mga iyakan at sampalan, nandun lahat yun, di ba? Si Armida Sigurrea talagang maldita. In other words, when you enter the movie house, you're comfortable, right? I'm within a tradition that is spanning so many centuries. This is the tradition of my parents. This is the tradition we watch at home on TV. And yet, Lino Broca is able to do something to the form so that it becomes, quote-unquote, realistic in a way, no? I'll give an example. Di ba yung madrasta o yung tiya na malupit, si Armida Sigurrea dito, is a stock character of all melodramas, right? Inaapi yung batang, maliit sila, sila Niño Mulak. Pero, ang maganda dito, pinaliwanag niya kung bakit ganun yung madrasta na yun. And ang reason actually is because yung asawa niya, mahal niya, pero hindi siya talaga mahal ng asawa niya. At nagsiman yung asawa para malayo sa kanya all the time. So in other words, this is a very bitter woman who wants love but has been denied love. So she's become bitter all this time and she hates it when she sees affection between people. Right? So what has happened there? Actually, nandun yung physicality noong madrasta, pero actually naintindihan na natin siya bilang tao. Right? Nagkaroon ng psychological depth. And that's, I think, how we must regard our traditions. Do not fight them. Understand where we're coming from. And from there, I think the directors who really are going to break that big divide, right? And this applies to so many indie filmmakers, right? Pag-aralan niyo yung tradisyon, sumakay kayo doon. Kasi that's the only time that you can make films that will reach people, right? Isang indie film na gustong-gusto ko, na indie siya in spirit, pero makikita mo na may pulso siya doon sa ordinaryong tao na yun na nasa tradisyon. Yung Maximo Oliveros. At makikita mo ang reaction sa Maximo Oliveros. Kumita. Kumita. Bakit? Kasi kung ikaw yung ordinaryong tao na reared on telenovelas and rom-coms and so on, hindi ka mata-turn off eh. Right? Kasi ma-recognize mo siya na yung characters ay